Hey y'all, welcome to my shop. Today I want to show you how to turn a simple little pillbox. It's a lot of fun. It's a simple hollowing project because you're going to hollow by drilling the top and the bottom with two different size drill bits, and then you just got to make a flange to fit. In this case, this one is made out of Macassar ebony. You start off with a block of wood. Most any dried hardwood will do. Exotics are great, such as this Macassar ebony or this paduk that we're going to turn today. If you've got some laminated pieces, if you're a segmenter, you got some laminated scraps, that'd work out too. So it's a good way to use small scraps. You're going to need a piece of wood approximately 1 inch in square by maybe 3.5 inches long. So let's get started. Now, I've kind of jump-started this project by go ahead and rounding this block between centers. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a tenon on it so we can put it in the chuck, and then we'll start working on the lid. Put on some safety glasses. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to put a small tenon on one end. So we round it about 7/8 of an inch in diameter, and that's about approximately what this is. Now, later I'm going to show you, we're going to use that wooden Morse taper that I showed you a couple of videos ago. Now I'm going to use my small Nova 25mm bowl jaws. They have almost the same gripping power as pin jaws. The diameter inside is the same. The jaws just don't stick out quite as far, so you don't get quite as good a hold. We're going to bring up a little tailstock support to kind of get this centered. Tighten this up. And we've got it round. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to hollow the center, which is going to be the lid. And actually, before we hollow it, I want to face the front, so we'll have a nice parallel surface where the top and the bottom come together. Slightly chamfer the center, make it a little easier for the drill bit to find its way. Now, because this is going to be the lid, we're going to drill this out with a 5/8 inch Forstner bit. Clean some of the dust off from previous use. Now, we're going to drill approximately a 1/2 inch deep, maybe just a bit shy of that. I've already measured, and I know that a 1/2 inch is approximately to the depth of this mark. Maybe just a little, maybe a 1/16 of an inch past that. So that's what we're going to do. And we're going to drill this at about somewhere less than 1,000. Lock it down. Start smoking, clear it. Now, I don't want to minimize the danger of ignoring the smoke. If you're not careful, if you see smokes, you could create a hot ember. So you've got to be very careful about what's going on around the work area, that you don't accidentally start a fire. And let's just double check. Depth of that. And we've got it right at a 1/2 inch, so that's good. I'm going to go ahead and just touch up the sanding the face of this a little bit, just around the edge. I'm not going to sand the inside. Start off with 240. And then go to a finer grit. Okay. Now, since I measured a 1/2 inch, I know what the depth is. I'm not going to measure a 1/2 inch on the outside. I'm going to actually transfer that depth, which is the safest way on a box, not to get messed up. So I place that here, and I know that's going to be the end at the top of the box. So I'm going to part just to the left of that line. Now, before I part that off, I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of tailstock support and do any embellishing on the lid that I'm going to do. So I'm going to use a cone center that I know will fill the bottom and hold this snugly, just to give this a little bit support when I put lateral pressure on the side. Just enough to snug it up. Let's get this tailstock backed off a little bit more so I can get my banjo maneuvered a little better. So I look at this and I think what I want to do, I want to go ahead and mark where I'm going to cut this first. I'm going to be using my fluted thin parting tool, and you use this with a flute up in case there's any misunderstanding. On this Sorby, the writing is upside down. If you look at it in the catalog, it might look like this. You don't want to use it that direction. The flute is on the top. The advantage of this particular parting tool is it does give you a very, very fine cut with a minimal tear out. And I just want to mark where the outside's going to go. Then I'm going to take the skew and just touch up that outside surface a little bit. And then we're going to touch it up with sanding a little bit, just because when you texture, you don't get another chance at sanding, so you want that surface to be properly prepared. I think what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and mark where I'm going to put a little bead at the top and the bottom. And I'm using a point tool. In some other videos you've seen this, just a very handy tool for a number of things. It works just like a scraper. Face that edge off a little bit. Now, I'm going to decorate that with a Sorby micro spiraling tool. I'm going to use the small wheel, adjust the tool height just a little bit. Now, I'm not going to bother to take the saddle off, but I'm not going to use the saddle. I'm just going to do this at an angle. When you use this Sorby tool, you've got a bevel on top. The bevel is where the cutting edge is going to be. I want to actually raise this just a little bit. This is really a scraper, so you want it in a negative raking mode. Now, speed-wise, you want to keep this somewhere approximately 500 plus or minus, not critical. And I've got a nice little spiral detail. And then I'm going to refine think I'm going to refine those two beads just a little bit. Keep it about the same speed, and I'm going to go ahead and part this off, give myself just a touch more room. That is about a half a parting tool width wider, so it doesn't overheat. Okay, so there's our top, and we'll finish this off once we put the flange on it. So we know this is a 1/2 inch deep, so we're going to, rather than measure it again, we're just going to stick it in, use it as a relative reference. And we're going to measure just shy of that. You can see my hands here. Just shy of that, so the flange is not quite as long as it is deep. And we'll just continue that mark. Okay, now this is a 5/8 inch hole, so we want just shy of a 5/8 inch flange, and we're going to size this using a 5/8 inch wrench. And again, we're going to bring up the tailstock for a little bit of support, since I'm going to be putting lateral pressure on this. Lower the tool rest just a bit. Nothing magic about where the tool rest would be, but generally you want to set it appropriately for your tool so you're cutting it close to center. So I'm going to turn this on. Give it a little more support. Come back around here, see about how far I got to go. There we are. I'll bring the rest of it up. And let's just check it out. We're close, but I think we want it, it's a little large, so you just kind of mark it a little bit. We're not going to get a perfect fit now. We want it snug so we can finish the top, and then we'll refine it. And sneak up on it. There we go. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and finish off the. And since we're dealing with ingrain here, ingrain does very well with a scraper. So we're going to take a sharp scraper. Use a round nose scraper. Raise that just a little bit. Bring up speed a little bit. slight incline. And finish this. This is the final finishing on it. Let's go ahead and sand it a little bit. And we're going to texture the end of this again with that Sorby micro spiraling tool. And we're going to see if we can't figure out how to put a little bit of a flower detail on it. That wasn't important. A little bit closer. Now in this case, I'm going to angle this slightly. Angle it slightly into the bevel in the corner, and then while it's turning, we're going to twist it up just a little bit off the center. Again, the speed, as I mentioned before, is approximately 500 plus or minus 100. So we're going to secure it, tilt it slightly just off center, and gradually bring it up. And we've got a, I'll show you that in a little while, but we've got a very nice little bead there, or a little flower. Now we'll get a little bit closer and just kind of dress that up a little bit with a couple of concentric rings. Exactly the way that is. Drop it and come over that bead. Drop the angle it, come over the top. There we go. It is snug. Okay. You'll be able to see that a little bit better when it's polished up, but I think maybe you can see that little detail. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and drill this out with the appropriate size, which is a 1/2 inch. And we're going to drill approximately 2 inches deep. That's 1 3/4 here, and about a 1/2 inch here, maybe a hair longer than 2 inches. Get that out of the way. We've already got a hole started with a drill to follow. And the wall thickness is going to be right at 1/16 of an inch. And we're going to put a little tape on there. And we're going to measure 2 inches, 2 inches. Let's do it this way. Okay, now we know how deep to go. Sometimes I do that, sometimes I use the etching on the quill. Sometimes I find this is just faster and easier than to watch because you're not always starting in a nice good place. I'll back this off just a little bit. And in we go. And there's our 2 inches. Back it out. Always hold the Jacob's chuck when you're pulling it out. If it ever sticks in here and you're not holding it here, you're going to have trouble. That thing's going to flip around and it's a real serious hazard. So always hold it Jacob's chuck when you're retracting. We're ready to do the final shaping of the box. Let's go ahead and transfer that depth of the inside to the outside, so we know where the end of our box is. And our end of the box is going to be right. You can see that. Alright, now for the shape of this box, again, I want to put just a bit of tailstock support on there with no pressure. I may see a little crack there, I'm not sure. So I may have to drop just a little bit of, yeah, it's just a little bit of crack there. So I'm going to put a little drop of CA in there. I'm going to put a drop of CA in it, and then we're going to come back. Okay, we put a little bit of CA on that crack, give it just a moment to dry. So what I'm going to do now, I'm simply going to put a small bead here and here, take down a little bit between the beads, then we're going to reverse it and part it off. So to make those beads, again, I like to use my little pyramid tool. Drop the handle, pivot to the right, come across. I'm going to put two small beads down here. We're just going to sand it just a little bit. Weakly. That's all. Now we're going to use that Morse taper we turned. Tap it in tight. I turn this just a little loose, so that'll just about hold it with that tape. And now I want to keep it on there snug. I want to go ahead and tape it down a little bit more, keep it nice and secure. Bring up the tailstock again, just gives a little sport while we take that off and finish up the base. Now, in this case, rather than do all that lateral pressure with this, I'm just going to take some of this off with this detail brush. touch that up with a scraper, like we did the top. Let's touch it up just a little bit. And there you have it. Now, I usually put antique oil on my finishes, and this will be no different, and then I'll buff it up to a nice shine. For some exotic woods with a lot of oil, I simply just buff them up with on the Beal buff with a little Canuba wax after I hit it with Triple E and a white diamond. So there you have it. I hope this was a good project for you. If you haven't subscribed, I hope you'll do so you'll be notified the next time I have a video. I'm going to have a picture here that shows a number of these cases. One I did earlier. Also, it's based on a needle case design, which is the same concept of drilling it out, but they're thinner and longer to hold needles. But you can also use one to make it a toothpick holder if that's what you're interested in. But for these size, the others were a little small, so I'm calling these pill boxes. Thank you.